You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your Security Plus certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Root cause analysis, often shortened to RCA, is the disciplined practice of looking beyond the surface symptoms of a problem to identify the underlying reasons it occurred. In cybersecurity, this means resisting the temptation to declare victory after malware is removed or a compromised account is disabled. Instead, teams ask, how did the attacker get in? What vulnerability, misconfiguration, or process gap allowed this to happen? RCA is systematic, using structured methods to dig deeper until the fundamental issue is identified. For example, a ransomware infection might be traced back not just to a phishing email, but to the absence of multi-factor authentication on remote access accounts. The value of RCA is that it prevents recurrence. Treating only symptoms leaves organizations vulnerable to the same attacks again and again. For learners, RCA can be compared to medicine. Painkillers may mask a headache, but discovering and treating the tumor is what solves the true problem. Threat hunting, by contrast, is a proactive activity. It involves actively searching for signs of attacker activity in the environment, even when no alerts have fired. The assumption is that not all attacks will be caught by existing detection rules, so humans must probe datasets for suspicious behaviors or patterns. Threat hunting is hypothesis-driven, beginning with the premise that something may have slipped past defenses. For example, a hunter might hypothesize that attackers are attempting lateral movement using remote desktop protocol. The hunter then queries logs and telemetry to look for unusual RDP usage. Threat hunting acknowledges the reality of imperfect detection while empowering analysts to uncover stealthy adversaries. For learners, it is useful to imagine security guards walking patrols even when alarms are quiet. The absence of alerts does not mean the absence of threats, and hunting is how organizations uncover what's lurking in the shadows. Root cause analysis and hunting complement each other in important ways. RCA is retrospective, focused on understanding what caused an incident and fixing the conditions that allowed it. Hunting is prospective, aimed at finding attacker activity that hasn't yet been detected or escalated. Together, they create a virtuous cycle. RCA closes systemic gaps, while hunting ensures attackers have not already exploited similar weaknesses elsewhere in the environment. For example, RCA may reveal that an attacker gained access through a weak credential. Hunting can then be launched across the environment to search for other instances of weak or reused passwords being exploited. RCA prevents repeat incidents by fixing causes, while hunting expands visibility to catch hidden compromises. For learners, this relationship is similar to home maintenance. Fixing the broken lock explains how burglars entered, but checking the rest of the doors and windows ensures they haven't already gained access elsewhere. Both are essential to building resilience. Hypothesis-driven hunting gives structure to this proactive activity. It begins with forming a testable hypothesis, such as, attackers may attempt persistence on high-value servers by creating scheduled tasks. From there, hunters collect relevant data system logs, process creation events, or endpoint telemetry to test the idea. Analysis follows, using queries or forensic timelines to see whether evidence supports the hypothesis. Finally, conclusions are drawn. Either no suspicious activity is found, or anomalous behavior indicates a lead worth pursuing. This method prevents hunting from becoming aimless wandering. Instead, it channels analytical curiosity into repeatable, evidence-driven steps. For learners, hypothesis-driven hunting is like scientific research. A scientist doesn't randomly test every possible chemical combination. They form a hypothesis, design experiments, gather data, and evaluate results. Hunting uses the same discipline, keeping investigations focused, efficient, and productive. Both RCA and hunting rely heavily on data, and knowing which sources to pull from is critical. Logs from firewalls, servers, and applications provide network and system context. Packet captures add detail on traffic flows and payloads. Endpoint telemetry from EDR tools shows process executions, file modifications, and registry changes. Identity logs from Active Directory or Cloud IAM systems reveal authentication attempts and access anomalies. Each source provides a piece of the puzzle, and together they allow analysts to reconstruct attacker activity or identify systemic weaknesses. Without diverse data, RCA may miss root causes, and hunting may miss stealthy behaviors. For learners, this is like investigating a crime scene. Fingerprints, video footage, and witness statements all matter. One type of evidence alone may not be enough, but combining them gives a full picture. RCA and hunting succeed when they harness comprehensive, trustworthy data. The tools and techniques used in both RCA and hunting revolve around connecting dots across time and space. Timeline construction is foundational, helping analysts visualize when events occurred, in what order, and how they relate. Pivoting on indicators of compromise, such as file hashes, domains, or IP addresses, allows investigators to trace activity across systems. Behavior-based searches go beyond static IOCs, looking for suspicious patterns such as unusual process chains, abnormal login times, or large data transfers. These techniques ensure investigators see beyond isolated events, uncovering sequences that reveal attacker intent. For learners, think of this like detective work. Investigators don't just catalog evidence, they connect it to build a story. Similarly, RCA and hunting techniques weave logs, alerts, and anomalies into narratives that explain what happened and why. This storytelling power is what transforms raw data into actionable intelligence. Prioritization is essential because neither RCA nor hunting can cover everything at once. Hunt should be directed toward high-value assets such as domain controllers, financial databases, or cloud management consoles. Critical controls that protect sensitive data should also be prioritized, since bypasses here pose the highest risk. Recent anomalies, such as unexplained login failures or unusual traffic spikes, should trigger focused hunts. Prioritization ensures limited resources are applied where they matter most, balancing thoroughness with efficiency. For learners, prioritization can be compared to firefighting. Firefighters don't spray water everywhere equally. They target the most dangerous flames first. Hunting and RCA require the same discipline-focused efforts where risk and impact are greatest, ensuring investigations produce meaningful security gains. Common methods for discovering root causes include causal trees, the 5 whys technique, and gap mapping against baselines. Causal trees break down events into cause and effect branches, tracing each symptom back to contributing factors until a root cause emerges. The 5 whys is a simpler method, asking why repeatedly until the deeper issue is revealed. For example, why was the server compromised? Because a patch was missing. Why was the patch missing? Because patch management didn't include this system. Why wasn't it included? Because asset inventory was incomplete. Gap mapping compares observed environments against expected baselines, identifying where misconfigurations or missing controls created vulnerabilities. These structured approaches prevent superficial explanations and drive towards systemic causes. For learners, it's like investigating why a plant wilted. You don't stop at "it lacked water." You ask why watering was inconsistent until the full picture is clear. Documenting findings is a discipline that ensures insights from RCA and hunting don't evaporate once the immediate work is done. Documentation should include the evidence collected, queries used, confidence levels in conclusions, and recommended mitigations. This creates institutional knowledge that can be reviewed, shared, and built upon. Without documentation, valuable lessons remain locked in the minds of individuals and are lost when staff move on. For learners, imagine a scientific experiment without lab notes. Results may be impressive, but no one else can reproduce or verify them. Documenting findings ensures knowledge is preserved, actionable, and available to guide future investigations, making RCA and hunting cumulative rather than one-off efforts. The integration between hunting outputs and detection engineering is where organizations reap long-term benefits. Every anomaly confirmed as malicious should result in a new detection rule, correlation logic, or enrichment step. This ensures the environment won't fall victim to the same stealthy tactic again. For example, if hunters find attackers leveraging unusual PowerShell commands, detection engineers can codify those commands into monitoring rules. Over time, this feedback loop strengthens the detection fabric, reducing the need for repeated hunts. For learners, think of this as updating a security system after a burglary. If a thief entered through a side window, you add sensors there. Hunting outputs harden defenses by translating findings into permanent detection improvements. Another consideration is preserving chain of custody when artifacts uncovered during hunts may become legal evidence. If a hunt reveals malware binaries, suspicious logs, or compromised accounts, proper procedures must be followed to preserve their evidentiary value. This means documenting collection methods, ensuring integrity through hashing, and controlling access to artifacts. Failure to preserve chain of custody may render evidence inadmissible in court or weaken regulatory investigations. For learners, think of this like handling evidence at a crime scene. If the chain of custody is broken, defense attorneys can argue it was tampered with. Similarly, in cybersecurity, disciplined handling of hunting artifacts ensures they remain credible and usable in legal or compliance contexts. A practical way to bring these ideas together is to run a focused 2-day hunt for lateral movement indicators within one subnet. The hunt might involve collecting process spawn chains from endpoints, reviewing authentication logs for unusual patterns, and analyzing network flows for suspicious connections. Any anomalies should be documented with evidence, queries, and analyst confidence levels. Validated findings can then be translated into new detection rules, such as flagging repeated failed logins followed by successful ones from unusual hosts. This exercise forces teams to practice hypothesis-driven hunting, evidence preservation, and feedback into detection engineering. For learners, think of it as a live lab session where theory is tested in practice. The outcome is not only immediate insights into the environment, but also long-term improvements baked into detection logic. When security teams engage in proactive hunting, they often follow well-defined hunting patterns that align with known attacker behaviors. Credential access hunts focus on signs of password theft, brute force attempts, or token misuse. Lateral movement hunts look for attackers pivoting from one host to another, often through remote desktop or pass-the-hash techniques. Persistence hunts target activity designed to maintain footholds over time, such as scheduled tasks, registry keys, or rogue accounts. Data exfiltration hunts examine outbound traffic patterns, searching for large transfers, encryption anomalies, or suspicious destinations. Each of these patterns corresponds to a tactic in common adversary frameworks, ensuring coverage across the attack lifecycle. For learners, think of these as patrol routes for guards. One looks at doors and windows, another at stairwells, and another at fences. No single patrol catches everything, but together they cover the grounds comprehensively. Structured hunting patterns provide confidence that analysts are probing all major areas where attackers may hide. Building and maintaining a library of hunting queries and artifacts accelerates future investigations. Rather than reinventing the wheel for each hunt, analysts can reuse proven queries to detect specific behaviors, such as unusual PowerShell invocations or failed login bursts. Artifact libraries can include previously collected samples, configurations, or case notes, providing reference points for comparison. Over time, this repository becomes a knowledge base that multiplies the efficiency of hunts. Teams can adapt and refine past queries to new contexts, continuously improving coverage. For learners, this is like a chef keeping recipe cards. Instead of guessing how to prepare a dish each time, they pull from a trusted collection and adjust for ingredients on hand. A hunting library ensures repeatability, speeds up investigations, and prevents valuable insights from being lost as staff rotate or move on. Retro hunting is another powerful practice, enabling teams to rerun queries across historical telemetry to determine if activity predated detection. For example, if a new malware hash is discovered today, retrohunting might reveal that the same binary executed on servers 3 weeks ago before alerts were in place. Similarly, if new detection rules for persistence are written, retrohunting can test whether attackers had already established backdoors earlier. This process uncovers hidden dwell time and provides better understanding of attacker timelines. It also validates whether new detection logic works as intended across old data. For learners, think of retrohunting as reviewing old surveillance footage after new evidence comes to light. Just because the alarm didn't ring doesn't mean activity wasn't happening. Retrohunting ensures defenders are not blind to the past, closing gaps and strengthening historical visibility. Threat intelligence provides rich material for seeding hunts. Intelligence feeds supply indicators of compromise, such as malicious domains or file hashes, while higher-level reports describe tactics, techniques, and procedures of known adversaries. Hunts can begin by asking, if this attacker were targeting us, how would their behaviors appear in our logs? For example, if an adversary is known to exploit remote management protocols, a hunt can focus on unusual RDP usage. Intelligence-driven hunts ensure that defensive activities align with the evolving threat landscape, not just theoretical risks. For learners, this is like studying crime patterns in a neighborhood. If burglars are known to use crowbars on back doors, patrols focus there. Similarly, threat intelligence ensures hunts are grounded in real adversary behaviors, making them more relevant, timely, and effective. Validation is a crucial step that prevents hunts from producing noise. Many unusual activities are benign, such as administrators transferring large files or developers running scripts. To avoid false positives, hunters must enrich context-linking activity to known users, change tickets, or business operations. For instance, a surge in failed logins may appear suspicious until correlated with a known system upgrade. Validation ensures conclusions are accurate, avoiding unnecessary escalations. For learners, think of this like wildlife tracking. Strange footprints might indicate a predator, but they could just belong to a dog. Only by considering context, location, patterns, timing can trackers decide. In hunting, context enrichment distinguishes malicious behavior from normal variation, making hunts actionable rather than distracting. When hunts uncover active compromises, clear escalation paths are essential. Hunting is not meant to stop at detection. It must transition into formal incident response when threats are validated. Escalation paths define how hunters hand off findings, which playbooks are triggered, and who takes ownership of containment. For example, discovering lateral movement in progress should escalate into containment workflows to isolate compromised systems immediately. Without clear escalation, hunts risk becoming academic exercises, identifying threats without ensuring they are remediated. For learners, this is like spotting smoke during a patrol. The guard's job is not to debate it endlessly, but to pull the alarm and activate the fire response. Hunting must always be linked to incident response processes, ensuring threats move from discovery into coordinated action. Measuring the impact of a hunting program ensures it delivers tangible value. Metrics might include the number of discoveries made, the number of new detections created, and improvements in mean time to detect. For example, if hunts consistently identify stealthy persistence mechanisms and detection rules are built as a result, the organization can quantify reduced dwell time. These metrics also justify investment in hunting by demonstrating its contribution to overall security posture. Without measurement, hunting risks being seen as an unstructured luxury rather than a necessity. For learners, think of this like evaluating fitness training. Gains must be tracked, whether in strength, speed, or endurance, to prove the training works. Similarly, hunting programs need metrics that show they are improving visibility, detection speed, and organizational resilience. Combining automated heuristics with manual hunting balances scale and depth. Automated heuristics such as anomaly detection or behavior-based alerts can sift massive amounts of telemetry to surface leads. Manual hunting then dives deeper, applying human intuition and hypothesis testing to analyze anomalies. Automation provides breadth, while humans provide depth. Relying solely on automation risks missing novel behaviors, while relying solely on humans is too resource-intensive. The combination ensures scalable but insightful coverage. For learners, think of this like modern archaeology. Ground-penetrating radar scans the terrain broadly, highlighting anomalies, while human archaeologists dig carefully to interpret findings. Hunting must harness both automation and human expertise, creating a cycle where machines highlight leads and humans validate, interpret, and refine. Feedback loops ensure that hunting outcomes do not remain isolated discoveries, but translate into engineering and operational improvements. Every confirmed anomaly should result in a prioritized task, whether adding a detection rule, refining a playbook, or adjusting configurations. These tasks must be tracked, owned, and closed. Feedback loops transform hunting from ad hoc investigations into a driver of systemic resilience. Without them, hunts risk producing interesting findings that never influence operations. For learners, think of this like scientific research feeding into technology. Discoveries must be engineered into products, not just published as papers. In security, hunting findings must flow into engineering tasks, closing the loop and making every discovery a building block for stronger defenses. Skills development is essential for maintaining a strong hunting capability. Analysts must be proficient in query languages, such as SQL or Splunk's SPL, to search large datasets effectively. They should also master forensic timeline construction, learning how to sequence events across logs. Hypothesis framing is another key skill, crafting testable questions that keep hunts focused. Continuous training, labs, and mentorship build these skills over time. Without deliberate investment, hunting programs stagnate. For learners, think of this like training detectives. They need to learn how to interview witnesses, analyze evidence, and build cases. Similarly, hunters must learn how to query data, test hypotheses, and construct timelines. Skills development ensures the next generation of analysts can hunt effectively. Documentation and reuse expand the value of every hunt. Sanitized case studies can be shared internally, showing what queries were run, what evidence was collected, and what lessons were learned. This builds institutional memory and helps new hunters ramp up faster. Sharing case studies also reinforces a culture of continuous learning, where teams build on each other's successes rather than duplicating work. For learners, think of this like a chess club sharing annotated games. Each match provides lessons for others to study, accelerating collective growth. Documentation ensures hunts don't just serve the moment, but contribute to the organization's long-term knowledge and resilience. Ultimately, a mature security program balances proactive hunting with RCA-driven systemic fixes. Hunting uncovers stealthy threats that slipped through defenses. RCA addresses the systemic weaknesses that allowed them. Together, they create a cycle of discovery, validation, remediation, and institutionalization. Hunts identify, RCA explains, remediations fix, and lessons are baked into detection and architecture. For learners, the takeaway is that hunting without RCA is reactive, and RCA without hunting is incomplete. Only when both work together, discovering, analyzing, fixing, and embedding, does an organization move toward resilience. Mature programs embrace this cycle, ensuring every incident and every hunt makes the enterprise stronger than before. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.